Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today we're heading to Earth 1884
Okay.
to explore the bicontinental nation of Nauwstaat.
Nauwstaat. Fascinating history there.
It is. Born from rivalries, shaped by trade, even marked by colonial expansion.
You've got that right.
We've got maps, timelines, even a canal that changed everything.
The canal.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that. All of this is meticulously documented on World Anvil.
World Anvil, huh? Sounds like we're in for a treat.
Absolutely. So get ready to uncover how Nauwstaat rose to become a major power on Earth, 1884.
I'm all ears.
Now, Nauwstaat wasn't always this unified force.
Yeah, you're right about that. It was originally a region fragmented, a patchwork of territories on the continent of Tilvaria,
Okay, so we're talking
each vying for power, you know.
Catrict, Tolport, the Kingdom of Drent.
Exactly. All these entities constantly at odds.
Yeah, I can already sense some serious tension brewing there.
Oh, there was plenty of that. It hindered the entire region's progress.
So when did things start to shift toward this unified Nauwstaat we know today?
Well, the turning point came in 1648 with the Treaty of Catrict.
The Treaty of Catrict. That sounds pretty significant.
It was. It wasn't just a peace agreement. It was the foundation of modern Nauwstaat.
Wow, so this is like their version of
It's
the
like
American Revolution.
Their American Revolution, exactly.
Instead of fighting for independence, they're forging a new nation.
Out of these warring factions, yeah.
I'm starting to see how this all comes together. So what happened next? What were some of the key events
Well,
after this Treaty of Catrict?
fast forward just a few decades to 1699.
Okay.
They stumble upon Yalaric,
Oh,
a whole new continent. It's a moment of incredible opportunity, but also one that sets the stage for exploitation.
Oh, so we're talking
Think Columbus, but with
Columbus.
through stone-powered airships instead of wooden ships.
This is where things get really interesting.
Right.
We've got this new continent.
Right for the taking.
But how do they transform this discovery into actual power?
Well, strategically, Nauwstaat was already in a good spot,
Oh,
even before Yalaric. Their location on Tilvaria put them at the crossroads of major maritime trade routes.
okay, so they were already primed for this kind of expansion.
Exactly. But this discovery, it demanded a more organized approach, you know.
And that's where the Yalaric Tilvarian Trade Guild comes in?
The YTTG, yes, formed in 1704.
So this sounds like more than just merchants moving goods back and forth.
Oh, it was much more than that.
What was their impact?
Imagine having the power to decide how much nations pay for shrew-stone.
Shrew-stone.
It's the lifeblood of their technology.
Okay.
That's the kind of power the YTTG had.
Wow.
They could dictate prices, influence economies across 2 continents.
So they had serious economic clout.
Oh, absolutely. And that gave Nauwstaat a lot of bargaining power.
So they weren't just about profits.
No.
They were also about geopolitics.
Exactly. They were playing the long game.
But every empire faces its challenges, right?
Yeah.
Did Nauwstaat ever falter?
Well, there was a significant event.
Oh,
The shrew-stone crash of 1743.
1743. Okay.
New shrew-stone deposits were discovered, some prices plummeting, financial turmoil across Tilvaria.
And how did this affect Nauwstaat?
They were hit hard. It's a reminder that even the most dominant powers can be vulnerable.
So this wasn't just about numbers on a chart.
No, yeah.
This affected everyday people.
Absolutely. It impacted the livelihoods of everyday Nauians.
So how did they navigate this crisis?
They adapted, and they did it brilliantly.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How so?
Remember that canal project I mentioned? The Lely Canal?
Oh, yeah, the canal.
It was more than infrastructure. It was a statement.
Okay, tell me more about this engineering marvel.
Well, the Lely Canal cut through the Tilvarian Isthmus,
Okay,
created a shortcut
so it dramatically reduced travel time.
to key areas like Altmark and Pertinius, yes.
So this helped revive their economy.
It did. It solidified their position as the trade hub of Tilvaria.
It sounds like they turned a potential setback into an opportunity. But with this rapid expansion, did it come at a cost? Were there groups within Nauwstaat who felt left behind
That's a great question.
or exploited by this focus on trade?
And one we'll explore further after the break. Well, remember, Nauwstaat is made up of 8 distinct provinces,
Right, we briefly touched on those.
each with its own unique character and culture.
Yeah, so it wasn't exactly a monolithic society.
Not at all.
Give me a sense of how life varied across this vast nation.
Okay, take Tolport, for example.
Tolport.
Even before unification, they were known for their bustling port cities and shrewd merchants.
So kind of like
Imagine Amsterdam, but with a fantasy twist.
Okay, I can picture that.
A place where fortunes were made and lost daily.
Ah, the heartbeat of Nauwstaat's commercial success.
Precisely.
Probably a bit more cosmopolitan than some of the other provinces.
You could say that.
But I'm guessing not everyone in Nauwstaat was living the high life in a bustling port city.
Oh, definitely not. Now, picture Noordpolder.
Noordpolder.
Vast farmlands, hardy, independent people.
Okay, a very different vibe.
Life there revolved around agriculture, tradition, close-knit communities.
So a slower pace of life.
Exactly. Values more rooted in the land.
Okay, so we've got the city slickers and the country folk.
Right.
What about the other provinces? What did they bring to the table?
Well, Katrecht, with its strong military tradition, was considered the muscle of Nauwstaat.
The muzzle, huh?
They were all about discipline, unwavering loyalty to the Republic.
Interesting.
Then you have Rant,
Ring it?
rich in forests and mineral deposits.
Oh.
The backbone of Nauwstaat's industrial heartland.
Providing those raw materials.
Exactly, fueling their economic engine.
It's fascinating how one nation can encompass such diversity.
It is, isn't it?
City dwellers, farmers, soldiers, miners.
A real melting pot.
It makes you wonder how they created a unified identity.
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
Remember the YTTG, that powerful trade guild?
Oh yeah, the YTTG.
Well, they played a significant role in shaping Nauwstaat's national identity.
Wait, so the YTTG was more than just an economic powerhouse?
Much more.
Tell me more.
Think about it. They had wealth, connections, resources spanning all 8 provinces.
Okay.
They were masters of soft power.
Soft power.
They funded schools, built libraries, sponsored festivals.
All very strategic.
All carefully crafted to promote a sense of unity.
And I'm guessing to reinforce their own influence.
Of course.
So it wasn't just about moving goods, it was about shaping minds.
Exactly.
Were they successful?
To a large extent, yes. They effectively promoted a narrative that emphasized the benefits of a strong, unified Nauwstaat.
Okay.
They highlighted economic prosperity, security, opportunities.
Right, the perks of being part of this rising power.
Exactly. But, of course, not everyone bought into this vision.
That makes sense.
There had to be some pushback.
Especially from those who felt marginalized.
Right, those who felt overlooked by this narrative of progress.
Who are these dissenters?
Well, not everyone felt that warm glow of Nauwstaat's success. There were pockets of resentment.
Where?
Particularly in the rural provinces like Noordpolder and Rant.
Ah, those who felt most disconnected from the hustle and bustle.
Many saw the YTTG's focus on trade and globalization as a threat.
A threat to what?
To their traditional ways of life.
Oh, I see.
Their connection to the land, their close-knit communities.
Right, they felt like the YTTG was eroding their values.
Exactly. With their cosmopolitan outlook and emphasis on free trade.
So, a clash between tradition and modernity.
Precisely. Those who embraced the rapid changes versus those clinging to the old ways.
It's a story as old as time.
It is.
And it was playing out right here in Nauwstaat.
This tension was bubbling beneath the surface.
Adding a layer of complexity to their society.
It's important to remember history isn't just heroes and villains.
Right, it's more nuanced than that.
The YTTG brought prosperity, but they also created winners and losers.
And those left behind weren't always silent.
Exactly.
So we've got this complex picture emerging.
We do.
Nauwstaat, a nation of contrasts.
Of ambition and anxieties.
Of progress and pushback.
And it's all connected to this tension between tradition and modernity.
It makes you wonder how they navigated these internal struggles.
Well, let's delve into that right now, shall we?
Let's do it. We've journeyed from Nauwstaat's fragmented beginnings to their rise as a bicontinental powerhouse.
And we've seen their strategic brilliance, their mastery of trade.
But also the consequences of their rapid growth.
The less harmonious aspects, yes.
Now, let's fast forward to 1884.
Okay.
Is Nauwstaat still at the top of their game?
Well, the good news is Nauwstaat remains a force to be reckoned with.
So they're still a power player.
Their economy is robust, their military formidable.
But I sense a but coming.
You know, there's always a catch.
No nation stays at the top forever.
Exactly. Challenges are looming.
What kind of challenges?
Remember those internal tensions we discussed?
The income inequality? The YTTG's influence?
Yes, and the discontent brewing in certain provinces.
So those seeds of discontent are starting to sprout.
You could say
What does that look like in 1884?
it's not open rebellion, not yet.
Okay.
But there are signs of unrest.
Like what?
Labor strikes are becoming more frequent.
Yeah.
especially in Rant, the industrial heartland.
Right.
And there's a growing movement calling for stricter regulation of the YTTG.
The YTTG.
Wow.
Some even demanding its dissolution?
That's a bold move, taking on the YTTG.
It is.
Who are these people?
It's a coalition of diverse groups.
Okay.
You've got labor unions fighting for workers' rights.
Right.
Social reformers demanding a fairer distribution of wealth.
Okay.
And even some conservative factions.
And conservatives. What's their issue with the YTTG?
They see the YTTG's cosmopolitanism and free trade policies as a threat.
A threat to traditional values.
Exactly.
So it's more than just an economic struggle.
Oh, absolutely.
It's an ideological battle as well.
Which is what makes this period so fascinating.
It's a time of transition.
A time of uncertainty.
The old ways are being challenged.
New ideas are emerging.
And the future feels up for grabs. Precisely.
We've got internal strife simmering, but what about external threats?
Well, there's always competition on the world stage.
Of course.
But in 1884, there's no single nation posing an existential threat.
Okay, so they're still pretty secure.
Their military is strong, their trade network vast.
Give her leverage.
However, the most significant threats might not come from other nations.
Oh, what then?
Global trends they can't fully control.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What kind of global trends?
Well, consider this. Nauwstaat's power is built on trade.
Right. Controlling shipping routes. A vast network of merchants and colonies.
Masters of moving goods and resources.
But what happens if something disrupts that global flow?
Exactly.
What could cause that kind of disruption?
War, natural disaster, another stone shortage, perhaps.
That's possibilities.
And there's another factor. Technological advancement.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
What if a rival nation develops a game-changing technology?
Like a faster airship?
Or a teleportation device?
Making traditional trade routes obsolete.
Exactly. Nauwstaat might be at the top in 1884. The world is in constant flux.
They'll need to adapt to stay ahead.
They will.
It's amazing how our view of Nauwstaat has shifted.
It is, isn't it?
From this unstoppable force
To a more nuanced understanding.
their strengths, their vulnerabilities, the challenges they face.
That's the beauty of history.
It's not just facts and dates.
It's a narrative of human ambition, ingenuity, conflict, cooperation.
And even in a fictional world like Earth 1884.
The story's still being written.
Well said. It's time to wrap up our deep dive into Nauwstaat.
I agree.
For our listeners out there, what surprised you?
What questions are still lingering in your mind?
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
And here's a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
If you were leading Nauwstaat in 1884, knowing what you know now, what would you do?
To ensure the nation's continued success.
Double down on trade. Focus on social reforms. Invest in new technologies.
The choices are yours.
And the fate of Nauwstaat hangs in the balance.
What a thought-provoking way to end our exploration of Nauwstaat.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through time and imagination.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those deep dives going. We've journeyed from Nauwstaat's fragmented beginnings
Quite the journey.
to their rise as a bicontinental powerhouse.
It is remarkable, isn't it?
We've seen their strategic brilliance,
And their mastery of trade.
but also the consequences.
Ah, yes, the less harmonious aspects.
Now let's fast forward to 1884.
Okay.
Is Nauwstaat still at the top of their game?
Well, the good news is, Nauwstaat remains a force to be reckoned with.
So they're still a major player.
Oh, absolutely. Their economy is robust, their military formidable, they wield considerable influence on the world stage.
But I sense a but coming.
Well, no nation stays at the top forever.
True enough. What challenges are they facing?
Remember those internal tensions we discussed?
The income inequality, the YTTG's influence.
Yes, and the discontent in certain provinces.
Are those issues still bubbling beneath the surface?
They've actually intensified.
So those seeds of discontent are starting to sprout.
You could say that.
What does that look like in 1884? Paint me a picture.
It's not open rebellion. Not yet, anyway.
Okay.
But there are definite signs of unrest.
Like what?
Labor strikes are becoming more frequent,
Yeah.
especially in Rant, the industrial heartland.
Makes sense.
And there's a growing movement calling for stricter regulation of the YTTG.
The YTTG. Wow, that's a bold move.
It is. Some are even demanding its dissolution.
Taking on the very organization that helped propel Nauwstaat to greatness.
It's a sign of how much things have changed.
So who are these people daring to challenge the YTTG?
It's a coalition. Labor unions fighting for workers' rights,
What kind?
social reformers demanding a fair distribution of wealth,
Okay.
and even some conservative factions.
Conservatives.
They see the YTTG's cosmopolitanism and free trade policies as a threat.
A threat to traditional Norwegian values.
Exactly.
So it's more than just an economic struggle.
It is. It's an ideological battle.
Which makes this period in Nauwstaat's history all the more fascinating.
A time of transition, uncertainty.
The old ways are being challenged, new ideas are emerging.
Our future is up for grabs.
We've got internal strife simmering. What about external threats?
Well, there's always competition.
Of course.
But in 1884, there's no single nation posing an existential threat to Nauwstaat.
So they're still pretty secure.
Their military is strong, their trade network vast.
Gives them leverage.
However, the most significant threats might not come from other nations.
Oh, intriguing. What then?
Global trends. Things they can't fully control.
Like what? Give me some clues.
Well, think about it. Nauwstaat's power is built on trade.
Right. Controlling vital shipping routes.
Right.
A vast network of merchants and colonies.
Masters of moving goods and resources.
But what if something disrupts that global flow?
Exactly.
What could cause that kind of disruption?
War. A natural disaster. Another stone shortage, perhaps?
All possibilities.
And then there's technological advancement.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
What if a rival nation develops a game-changing technology?
Like a faster airship.
Or a teleportation device, something that makes traditional trade routes obsolete?
That would shake things up.
Nauwstaat might be at the top in 1884. The world is in constant flux.
They'll need to adapt to stay ahead.
Precisely.
It's amazing how our view of Nauwstaat has shifted.
It is, isn't it?
From this unstoppable force.
To a more nuanced understanding of their strengths, vulnerabilities, the challenges they face.
That's the beauty of history, right?
It's not just facts and dates, it's a narrative.
Human ambition, ingenuity, conflict, and cooperation.
And even in a fictional world like Earth, 1884.
The story's still being written.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into Nauwstaat.
I agree. It's been a fascinating journey.
For our listeners out there, what surprised you?
What questions are still lingering in your mind?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave us a comment or send us a message.
And here's a final thought to ponder. If you were leading Nauwstaat in 1884, knowing what you know now, what would you do?
To ensure their continued success.
Double down on trade. Focus on social reforms. Invest in new technologies.
The choices are yours.
And the fate of Nauwstaat hangs in the balance.
What a thought-provoking way to end our exploration.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through time and imagination.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep those deep dives going.